In Pakistan, it's budget season, but there's a catch. Usually, budgets are supposed to impress the citizens. In Pakistan, that's not the case. Their budget was meant to impress the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And did it? Well, most experts say no, it did not. Let me get you up to speed. Pakistan is facing a major balance of payments crisis. It means they don't have enough foreign exchange, barely enough to cover 1 month of imports. And I've been saying this for months now, so you can imagine for how long Pakistan has been in this mode, barely scraping through, getting only enough money to survive month on month. It is on the edge. It is seeking help from the IMF. In 2019, they struck a $6.5 billion bailout deal. So the IMF was supposed to give Pakistan $6.5 billion. Out of this, $2.5 billion is still left. Pakistan wants this money urgently. And that deal expires at the end of June, at the end of this month. So if the IMF does not agree to give that money in the next 15 days, there will be trouble for Pakistan. It could run out of forex. How does the budget figure in this discussion, though? You see, the IMF is a strict lender. They will give you money, but they also set big conditions. They want more reforms, less subsidies, lower deficits. That's what the IMF wants. And that's where the budget in Pakistan, or anywhere for that matter, plays an important role. If the budget is reformist, the IMF is happy. In the case of Pakistan, they don't seem to be. Let's look at the numbers. Pakistan's total spending will be around $50 billion, which is more than last year. So they're spending more. But budgets are not really about spending more. They're also about how you're spending that money. In the case of Pakistan, around $6 billion is allocated to defense. That's around 13% of the spending for defense. Around $25 billion will be set aside for debt servicing. That's loan repayment and interests. Now, do you see the problem here? Around 63% of the spending is on military and debt. It's not ideal when you're hoping to please the International Monetary Fund. Another number to note is the budget deficit. What's that? Deficit is the difference between revenue and expenditure. If you spend more than you earn, then you are in deficit. For instance, if you earn $10, but you spend 12, then your deficit is 2. It's simple subtraction. Pakistan is aiming for a deficit of 6.54%. And to give you some context, their current deficit is 7%. So they're aiming for slightly less, but probably not enough for the IMF. They're looking for some structural reforms in the budget. Instead, this is what they got: more subsidies, more development projects, and even more wages. Civil servants in Pakistan will get a 35% hike. State pensions will be 17% higher. And don't get me wrong, people being paid more is not a bad thing. In fact, it should be encouraged. But Pakistan is paying people with money it doesn't even have. Their priority should be long-term. Just think back to India's budget in 1991. It was a bitter pill back then. But look at the returns over the next 30 years. India is now the 5th largest economy in the world, so it's all about trusting the process, about the political will to trust the process. Pakistan, unfortunately, does not have that. The IMF has around 15 days to take a decision, and we're talking about a complicated process here. They have to circulate documents, they have to consult shareholders, take political inputs. Can all of this be done in 15 days? Officials in the IMF are not so confident. They're looking not just at this latest bailout, but also the long term, because Pakistan will need more programs. They will need more bailouts in the future. Their traditional lenders, like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, are shaky. So the IMF is really their best bet. But lenders want to see political stability. Pakistan doesn't even have that. In 60 days from now, the Shehbaz Sharif government will complete its tenure. After that, there will be an interim government. What about elections? Well, they may happen in November, or before that, or not happen at all. In Pakistan, you cannot be sure. And this is why the International Monetary Fund is worried. The recent clash between Imran Khan and the army does not inspire confidence. In this instance, the army has nearly won, but it also shows how precarious the civilian institutions are. So let me sum up the situation for you. The budget has no reforms. The election may or may not happen. The army is getting more money, and the IMF is far from convinced. So will Pakistan still get a bailout? We'll keep you posted.